Raymond just reminded me. Thanks, Raymond. Lifesaver. Okay, it's now recording. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a few warehouses here. So I have my default one. So this is what I'm going to see as my store, so where I sell my items at the end. But some of our clients will also have a separate one just for their raw materials. So when they do the manufacturing, my raw materials will be coming out of this warehouse. And then my end product I'll put into the factory, and then we'll do the decanning in that assembly. And then at the end, they would transfer their little decanned final products into their store. So that's how I'm going to do it today. So let's start with the manufacturing. So again, I know I sound like I'm repeating myself every day, but at the bottom of everything we have the setup, the maintenance. And at the top, this is where we do our processing, and this is where stock's moved, etc., etc. So the client I was at recently, they didn't actually account for the labor cost of machinery, but for this training session, we'll just add that in. So I'm going to go from right to left. So similar with the fixed assets, really, some of this setup's quite quick. So if I come in here, you see I've got one set up here. I haven't set up any hourly rates, so I'm going to come and modify this one. So I couldn't think of a machine name that does chemicals, so I've literally just called it machine. And there's a recovery cost account, so I've written this to an expense account that I set up. And we have our rates here. So we have our variable hourly rates, fixed setup, and fixed breakdown. So this is the variable hourly rate is how much it costs us to run this machine. Blender is a good name. True. Let's create another one and use Blender. And I'm going to link it to that expense account. And so the hourly rate is how much it costs us per hour per the actual manufacturing process. So let's say it's £5 an hour to use this machine during the process. Fixed setup is the cost to set up the machine, to get it ready for the manufacturing process. So I mean, this is all taken into account. So I know most of the clients I've been with probably just use this top column here. But if you also want to bear in mind that there are factory overheads, absolutely, that's somewhere else actually. When we come to the bill of materials, there's a section there for that. So this is purely just for the machinery and putting everything together. And the fixed setup is the cost to put this machinery together, get it ready, and then you also have the breakdown cost for afterwards. Maybe you have to disassemble the machine or clean it up or whatever it may be. So you can put all those costs in there. I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to use the hourly cost and keep these ones to 0. And then labor, obviously I've set one up here, I called it labor high skilled. So the company I was at recently, they had 6 laborers, so they didn't really segment it too much. All they did is calculate the average hourly rate for those 6 persons. And I think it was something like £65 an hour. And again, it has the fixed setup here and the fixed breakdown. I know from the machinery cost it's more easy to explain it. I'm not sure where the costs are coming to here. I haven't seen a client use these fields for labour. They usually just use the hourly rate. So that's our hourly rate for, let's say, 6 labour personnel. Now we're going to click on OK. And then we go on to work centres. So again, the client didn't use it, but I think we should use it in our example. So I think another client was actually put together paintbrushes. So they first had to assemble the actual piping on the end. Let me just get an image so I can see myself. Paint, what do you call those big paintbrushes? Not the rollers, that's the one I wanted. Paint rollers. So they manufactured paint rollers. I should just use that image there. Yeah, so firstly they would assemble this part here, which was actually plastic. So that would be station 1, so that was their first work centre. And then the second work centre was attaching something similar to this part. And then the third work centre was where this got added onto the end. So in their case, they had 3 or 4 work centers. So a work center for each part of manufacturing. So that's all that is. So I've got 2 set up here. It's literally just a name, a code, and a description. Nothing more to it than that. And then here we come and set up our bill of materials master file. Capacity, capability. In regards to what, Michael? In regards to work centers.
The reason why I'm asking that question is you don't want to overload a work center. Let's say, for example, a work center contains 2 blenders, and each blender has a capacity of so many hectoliters, and it requires an 8-hour shift to blend 1 batch. Technically, if you're running 3 shifts in the day, you could probably almost run 3 batches in a 24-hour period if there was no cleanup and so on. So is there a place, sorry?
No, carry on, sorry. Carry on.
Is there anywhere in the system where you input capacity of a work center or capacity of the machine? Because when it comes to producing your work order, you want to make sure that you're not overloading your work center because you don't know what capacities you're challenging, type of thing.
Manufacturing 1,400 liters. So you know,
1 second, I've just got a BP with me who's just commenting on what you said, sorry. What was that, Paul?
We're manufacturing 1,400 and you'll know the capacity of your blender.
Yeah.
So you won't try and manufacture more.
Tea, coffee.
Water.
Sorry guys, can I get a glass of water please, sir?
So you know the capacity of the machine that can blend. You know, it's 1,400, 2,000 liters, whatever. So you won't ever overload it.
I mean, in my example, we're saying that we're going to manufacture the 1,400 litres, so we know exactly what our capacity is. Just thinking of what you're saying, I'm just picturing, I don't see anywhere that has this.
Yeah, I guess the only reason why I say that is if the shop was fully loaded with orders, you wouldn't want to be at a point where you wouldn't be able to process things. You'd need to know that you'd tell your customer, look, this order won't start till next Monday, and you won't get it till Thursday because my plant is fully loaded.
I see what you're saying. So you're talking about multiple jobs ongoing, basically, like
yes,
type of thing. I'm with you more now, Michael. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's more a curious question. There are workarounds for that. Certainly,
no,
you have.
Sense, yeah. Still, it's something I haven't thought about. It's an interesting point.
Okay.
I'll make a note of maybe there is a way I'm not aware of. I don't think so, but interesting.
Okay. I won't delay you anymore.
No, not at all, Michael. I encourage it. So I'm just getting my drink. Thank you, sir. So we go to our bill of materials master file. So here, so if you select open, we still see all the ones we've set up already. So again, just whilst I was preparing a little bit, I created 2 bill of materials. But if you want to create a new one, we come in here and we're going to select our final product. So I'm going to keep with our pine gel example, which is the final one. It's this 100 liters, and one of those. And you just add your work centers. So let's do the 2 work centers. So this is only set up once, so you don't have to do it every time you process the job. We just set up the master file here. And down here we have our components. So I've just, when I was at the client, I didn't make a note of his individual components, so I've just put chemical A, B, C, D, etc., etc. So I'm pulling these through. And the location, what they did it from, so like I was saying, they pulled the raw materials from a raw materials warehouse. So it wasn't mixed with the products that they sell on their shelves, etc. So it's managed completely separately. So that's how I'm going to do it. And we have our quantities. So let's say in theirs it was like very small amounts. So to create one of those would be 0.2 here, 0.225, and you can go down to 4 decimals. So So that's that set up. So if we change the tab now to labor, this is where we set up our labor. So let's say bring that in, and we're going to say we need them for 6 hours. And then we have our machinery costs. Again, we just add that in. So let's use Mike's blender, and we use this for 2 hours. And then we have the recovery costs. I think this is what you were touching upon before, Michael. So this is your overhead cost, maybe it's electricity or whatever it may be. You can just add it here. So you can add the GL account here. I'm going to use the same account. Recovery. And the amount, the overhead costs during this period of manufacturing. So you can add multiple lines, but I'm just going to lump everything together. So let's say it's 15 rand. So that was just for Work Center 2. So you can set it up separately again for Work Center, for the second Work Center. So you see if I drop on there, this is for Work Center 1. If I click on here, I've got nothing in place here. So let's add a couple of things here. Let's just say chemical A, and we use 3 of these here. And you choose your locations. This is where the end product's going to go into. So like I was saying before, we have our raw materials. And then in my end product, I'm going to put this 1,400 litre crate container into our factory. So it's still not ready to go on our shelves because we sell it in smaller. We're going to decant it with a disassembly. And then we'll finally put it into our default, our store location. So then we can hit record. So I've already got a bill of materials set up for this. So let's see if I can just change the description. Training. Item number pine gel. So it's because I've got a bill of materials ready for the end product. So I'm just going to go to open. I'm just going to jump into the one I set up already. But that's how you set it up. So I've got this one here. This is the one I set up. So it looks pretty similar. I've got my work center. Same. It's like pretty much the same. Less hours. We've got machinery, and I haven't got any costs here from expenses. So we can adjust this. So only certain users with specific user rights can adjust the bill of materials. Like I know a client, I was at a 20 user site the other day, and only one person has the ability to make adjustments to the bill of material at the master file level. So let's put in 15 rand here, and I just want to make sure everything, so it's all pulling from the right location, and it's going to finish in the factory. Okay, so we're happy with that. And again, you can see who's the last person to make any changes to the bill of material if you wanted to. So it's saying I just made a change now as of today's date. So once this is all set up and you have all your bill of materials in place, then you don't have to touch this again unless you make amendments going forward. So I'm going to go to process jobs. So this is where we're going to open up our job now. So you can actually link it to a customer. And we select open, rather that's open, that's jobs if we had any open, so I haven't got any open there at the moment. So we're going to select bill of materials down here, and we're going to select here, and let's say we want to generate, let's do 5 of these. Select OK. So at the moment it just populates the top line, which is our final product. So if you want to populate all these fields, you just select generate, and it's populated it down here. So it's brought through our work centers and all our items down here as per our bill of materials, our master file setup. And so you do have the flexibility to add if you do have the specific user rights. So I can say, actually, we're not going to use this item on this specific occasion, and we can delete the line, or we can add other items. So if you find you're adding the same items over and over again, then you should really go and change your bill of materials in the master file. Other things on here, we have the summary. So this shows you the theoretical cost. So that's basically based upon our bill of materials, our BOM, the one we've set up. The actual, we will see this when we issue work in progress. This will be populated. So at the moment it's blank because we haven't issued anything yet. So we don't know our actual cost at this stage. And this field calculates the variance between our theoretical and our actual, which is obviously the difference between these two columns because we haven't issued anything as of yet. So then as soon as we hit record on this screen, it's asking for a default work center, so it's going to start in work center 1, and we hit record. It now says the job's open. So we can come here and we can, so at this stage, okay, so we've opened the job, and then usually the person who's opened the job would come to the pick list, and this would get sent to the warehouse for all the guys to get all the items together. So this is what will be printed. So it's similar to what we'll be doing in the warehousing module when you do sales order and we issue pick tickets to get orders together, etc. So it looks quite similar. It might even be the same form. So this is what they need to get together for this manufacturing job to be done. So this will be sent to the warehouse, and then they'll come back and fill in this field here. And then based on this information here, we'll populate our issue work in progress, which is our next step. And this again, they can be exported, printed, emailed, whatnot. And we also have the job card here as well if you come to preview. And this has all this information here, has our end product, status of the job, inventory. So at this stage, it just shows you our bill of materials quantity. At the moment, nothing's issued. So it just has all the information we've gone through already, really. And there's a notes section if need be. So at this stage, we've now sent the pick list to our warehouse, and we're waiting on them to come back to us now. So we have the production schedule here as well. So just open that up. I have to check the date on, I think the date on my system is, I think my date's actually February 20, let's check the date. Process jobs, 29th of February 2016, open. This is on April. Let's see, mine's stuck on the last day of the last year because I haven't done a year end on my database. So it doesn't allow me to go back further than that. I should probably process a year end. But what it will do, let me change the date rather. Let's see if I can change the date on here. So I'm going to go back to my previous address. Let's adjust and let's make it, let's see, I can't process ahead of there. So I don't know if you guys want to see it on the production schedule, but I'll have to process a year end to show you that. But all it does literally is it'll just say job number here 002, and you can go into it and whatnot. It's just literally a production schedule. So for me to show you that, I'd have to process a year end. So I can do it towards the end if you wish. Because it's our sample company. For some reason, it starts on the last day of the 2015 financial year. Probably something you should see. Thanks, Michael. Okay, so the pick list has got into the warehouse and they've brought it back. We then go into issue work in progress. So we can select our job number, which is this one. And we're going to, I think I allocate, so it's this work center. And here's all our items. Here's our labor, here's our machinery, here's our recovery costs, etc., etc. And so if they come back, and let's just for the sake of simplicity, we can say, as per the pick list, that's what they've collected together. So you can just press auto issue all, and you can see automatically it's populated this field here. And it should have done that for all of these. So again, it's issued our hours for us. But we can go and override this if we want. So maybe let's see. So we want to create some variance on our report for the end. So I'm going to put in 2.5 here. So we've overissued for that one. So this gives us this warning message saying you're about to overissue chemical B. Would you like to continue? Yes or no? So there is a setting in the company options where you can block this. So if you don't want to be able to have the ability to overissue or underissue even, you can block it. So I must have the setting on for warning or something like that. So I can go check it now. So at this stage we go and hit record. And that's the issue work in progress. So at this stage it's taken all of our components out of stock. We still haven't got the final product yet, but all the components have been taken out of our stock. I just want to go check that setting. So again, I probably should have started here. In the control panel, company options. That just means I've got a window open before I close it. So it's just this. So yesterday we came in here and there isn't a tab of fixed assets, if you remember, but there is for most modules. We have here one for manufacturing. So it's because of this setting, allow over and issue work in progress. So we've done the issue work in progress for the first stage. We can now go and do the transfer job. So it's more for reporting really, it doesn't have any much bearing. So we can actually transfer the job from Work Center 1, which we just did the issue work in progress, and we can move it to Work Center 2. So according to our bill of materials, the Work Center 2 is actually the first step, because you can see it's already sitting here. So if I change this to WC2, so look, where's the job sitting? Okay, the job number's changing, I didn't even realize. The one we did would have been Work Center 2, I imagine. So I can transfer it now to the second work center. And it's moved across. So now if I start here, you can see there's 2 jobs. Is that what you're going to point out, Michael, or you got a question? Yeah, so you can see the status here. So this job we're still in is a work in progress. So this is one I was just doing during my preparation. I closed it off already. And then once we're happy with that, because I didn't have any components for my second location, I'm not going to go back into issue work in progress, but we can do. You can come back in here, open the job, and let's go, this one has things. We can come back and issue more. So issued quantity, before when we did auto assure, it was in this field it populated. But once you record and come back in, it shifts it to this column here. And we have the flexibility of typing in more information here. We can come back and issue more, because the job's not closed yet. But I'm not going to do that. And then we can go into our closed jobs. So here we can select, I think it's new, I always forget here, so job order, job number 2. And here we can see. So we have our theoretical, is as per our bill of materials, this is the figure we saw before. And we have our actual, so that we can see there's a variance here, and that's because I slightly overissued on chemical B or C or whichever one it was, and that's where it's pulled through. So you can see where your variance is coming from. So you can either close the job completely, or you can partially close the job. So if you partially complete the job, I mean, most self-explanatory, we might only manufacture 4 now, and you still have the flexibility of going back to issue work in progress. But if we're happy and we're going to manufacture as per our initial instructions, you can just go and hit record. And then at that stage, it's going to, can you overproduce? Yeah, you can, by the looks of it. Can you change your manufactured quantity to 4? Sure. Yeah, so you can underproduce. Or overproduce, yeah. And let's go upwards. Yes. And it's changing our unit cost as well, importantly so. Are we happy with that? Okay, so that's that job done. Perfect. So I've already recorded this one previously, so I'm just going to jump out of here, discard this. So I've already done the same process. So I've got my big container now of 1,400 liters. It's now sitting in my factory. So the client now wants to disassemble it and put it into 5 liters, 10 liters, etc., etc. So to do this, they use the assembly module. But before we go into that, we have to set up a bill of materials. So there's 2 places to set up a bill of materials in 2 different places. The one we just covered now is for the manufacturing. But for the assembly, it's actually somewhere else. It's actually in the master file of the end product. So I now go into inventory and services, and here's our end product. And so we have it here with a nice image, and you see there's a tab here for BOM, bill of materials. And here I've put it in here. So we're going to decant this 1,400 into 100 liter can, 5 100 liter cans, 10 25 liter cans, and 10 of those. Is my maths right there? So we've got 500, 250.
Yeah,
quite wrong, isn't it? Can I change this? I'm going to delete this one. So we're sitting with 1,000. What are we sitting with there? That's one. I'm getting confused. 1,000. We're 400 short, eh? So let's select what are the ones I got here. Just going to add some more components here. Actually, I'll just leave it with what I've got there. But if I just go into the assembly, and I'm going to load my bill of materials, and here it is. So it just shows the one that I had set up already, and it tells us, so how much are we going to assemble? So I mean, people who use this feature, 9 times out of 10 they just use the assemble feature, so we're putting our components to create our end product. But in our case, we're working backwards now. So this feature is quite a powerful feature, because I know with some of our competitors, I know like the two companies, especially this chemical company, they weren't able to do this doing backwards. They would have to do stock adjustments. So they literally did a stock adjustment for the container item, took it out one, and then they had to do stock adjustments bringing in the smaller containers, the 25 litres, the 50 litres, etc. So it wasn't very user-friendly. So this was a big selling point for us, and the clients absolutely love this for this thing, where they can decan their final product. So you can see here we have our items. So our main item up here is our pine gel, the unit cost as per our manufacturing, and down here we have our subcomponents. And it's calculated the unit cost per se as well, based on a previous assembly that I've already done. So we're going to take this out of stock, we're going to bring in 5 of these, and 10 of these, and 10 of these. So what's also nice on here, if you have the correct user rights, so it's quite an important point that our clients had. I mean, not always are they going to disassemble 1,400 litres into 5 of this, or 5 of this one, 10 of this one, 10 of this one. It might be 15 of this one. They might have another one they want to add on. Have I got another one here? I don't, so there might be another one for 75 litres. You can add it on. So it has the flexibility. The only thing with here, it's not, so my 1,400 litres, as you can see, I've incorrectly calculated my values here. This, I think, goes slightly over 1,400. So there's no relationship there. You have to calculate manually how much the 1,400 fall into, if that makes sense. So then I'm going to record this, and now at this stage this is out of stock and we've decanned it, and these have gone into my, so actually what I should have done there, I didn't change the location. So my factory, so let's just go through it again and load my bill of materials, pine gel, deassemble. So the location, because I manufactured into the factory, so select there, and these ones we want to put into our store, which is our default location. And there we go, just like that. So well, if I go into these items now, there should be quite a lot of quantity there in our default location. You can see I've got vast sums of this item now due to our decanning process. So the process I went through now is quite a common one, as I keep saying, that clients do love. They do love the disassembly. There's the manufacturing reports here, so we have work in progress by work center. It might not give me any information because I've closed all my jobs. Let's get this ready while I'm messing here. What am I missing? All jobs, all centers, all customers. Okay, so this is shown as what was in work in progress for the 2 jobs. So separating our inventory and our recovery costs. and the amounts we issued, etc. So on this one we can see that we overissued. Work center transfers, 215, let's look at both jobs. So I think we just did the one transfer, so I also did it this morning by the looks of it. So it shows you the dates and the transfer between the work centers. The MRP reports, this is quite a nice thing actually if you're planning ahead. Let's have a look. So if we want to manufacture, I think this is my one I want to look at. So if we're going to manufacture 150 1,400 litre tons of this pine gel, this, let me just minimize this chart, that's what we're kicking on out. Let's have a look. So it tells us, it multiplies, so it's basically like a works order for the day. If we're going to manufacture 150 today, you can plan ahead. So it multiplies the BOM by the amount we want to make. So to make one, this is our bill of material, this is what we need. To make 150, it tells us what we need for the day, or to process that 150 quantity of the end product. Some of these reports are self-explanatory. Bill of materials by location. So I think all my bill of materials are in the same location. So this is all the information that we set up previously. All standard stuff, really. There's not too many reports, so I might as well go through them. So these are the master files that we had set up. Again, all these reports can be exported to Excel, Word, PDF, whatever you may wish. Items used. And you can also create serial number items. So we didn't use the serial numbers, so that report shouldn't generate anything. I would anticipate this will give us no data. So in a nutshell, that's really the manufacturing process. I don't know if there's any questions. I know there's a couple of things in here I didn't really touch upon in the control panel. The active scale imports, I must say I haven't actually used that myself. I might have to send an email outlining what that's used for. I must say I haven't used that before. Probably should have come into the control panel when I was preparing. Shabir, yeah, you got a question? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I see there's a couple of lessons here. Questions. Shabir, sorry I came in late. What is meant by recovery cost in the manufacturing module? Are there optional fields? Good questions. Let's have a look. You can attach files. I didn't see an option for optional fields anywhere, actually.
Attach files there.
Yeah, you can attach files. I don't see anywhere for your optional fields there, Mike. Because it would always be in the master file. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, the optional fields are everywhere, but it doesn't seem like it carries across to here. Out of curiosity, what information would you want in addition to what we have? And Shabir, in terms of the recovery costs, it's like Michael was saying earlier as well, it's like the overhead costs. So perhaps like electricity that's used during the manufacturing process. Yes, I'm just going to go back into the control panel, manufacturing. And so the other things here is blank authorization codes. So you can remove a job on manufacturing. So that you can only do that before you've issued work in progress. So I'll just show you where that comes into play. So if I come in here, process job, you see there's a remove button here. So I can't remove these ones that I've already recorded, etc., or ones which have gone into work in progress. So let's create a new one. You can link it to a customer, as I said before. So let's do a work center, bill of materials. And we'll generate. And we can record. So then we can come out with then, if for whatever reason, Shabir, yeah, I'll come to your question now. So for whatever reason we want to cancel the job, you simply come in here. Because I know before version 10 we actually didn't have that capability. So now there's a remove button, like we can remove sales orders, sales quotes, etc. We can now remove a job. And again, there is an audit trail, so we can senior users, your super users, so to speak, can actually monitor who's deleted jobs. Would you like to continue? Yes. So that's created a job. Shabir, in the machine labor and recovery cost, are you able to link to GL account specifically? Yeah, so in machinery, you can link it to different recovery costs per machine. So it's up to you how specific you want to be. I've just done everything on a basic level and linked everything to the same one. And the same with labor. So it depends how specific you want to be. If you're going to create multiple labor types, you can link them to individual recovery accounts. And then with the overhead costs, when you do the bill of materials, let's load my BOM. So I've got to open, and then down here, let's adjust it. So if I go to recovery costs, we have it down here. So I just added the one. But if you want to monitor for the various overhead costs there might be, we can just add in another one and link it to a different account. And you can even link it to profit centers as well. No problem, Shabir. It has been recorded. Raymond saved me earlier by reminding me to record the session. So I think that's pretty much it in the manufacturing. I did think it would take a bit longer. I don't know if anyone has any questions or... Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Is there a way to import it? Great question, Shabir, absolutely. So if you want to know what you're able to import into Palladium, I always advise going to the help section. Yeah, that'll be great, Michael. There is definitely room for enhancements with the manufacturing. So if I go to help and import templates, you'll see all of the formats here, everything, all the Excel formats that are required to import certain information. So everything you see here you can import, and I'm pretty certain. So there's one here for bill of materials, which we always use during the implementation process. So I mean, people coming onto Palladium, there's a client the other day, I think they had 120 bill of materials. So instead of sending them one by one, they use the import template. Any other questions there?
Is there a place in there to put your markup up to, if you're doing a quote, how would you put this in your quote and put your markup to give to a client? That's your manufacturing. Now you want to know.
You want to mark up on your final product?
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul, one of our BPs over there now, was just asking whether, so where do you apply the markup now? So we've manufactured our final item with its cost. Where do we now go and mark up on that? So if we go to inventory and we go to price lists, and I'm going to select the one I have available here. Our final product is, so I was hoping it would pull through the last received cost. That's just our purchasing side.
For the 100 litres and the 25 and the 50 as we manufactured them, because we've now decanted it.
Oh, for these final products here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's pulled through. So for our decanned products, the one we want to sell, we have the last received cost here. So we can mark up on the cost here. We're going to increase it by 50%, and then you just hit calculate, and there's our markup. So whichever customers this is now linked to, that'll be the selling price, the 50% markup on cost.
And this is found in the price.
Yeah, this is found in the price list in the inventory module.
So we said 50%.
Yeah.
100 litres 70.
Yeah.
Price per stock unit 105.
Yeah.
How does that calculate?
Yeah, I'd have to double check it. I don't know if you want to calculate it. How's it calculating? Markup on cost 50%. Do the figures look right to everyone or not? Well, I think it's because
is that
No, that should be correct.
per 100
It's
liters?
about 35 cents.
sorry, what was that? Michael's happy with the
I'm saying that's about 35 cents, almost 50% for the 70, the 0.70. If you add another 35%, it's 105.
Oh, so it's right, yeah. Oh, yeah, correct, yeah.
55%.
No, 50%, so
Well,
so
70 is
the 70, 35, and then the 70 plus the 35, yeah, so it's... Thanks, guys. I don't know if I was just being lazy then. I thought I'll let some of you guys do some of the work. That's an easy excuse. That's my excuse anyway. Yeah, I see there's a couple more questions in the chat. Let's have a look. Shabir, thank you very much. Thank you. Raymond, hi. Would you mind showing me how to set the pricing for different customers? And the adjustments must be authorized at the end, please. So adjustments to the pricing, would that be right? Okay, so I'll once everyone's happy with, if they've got any more questions on the manufacturing, I'm happy to go through that as well. So because we have to set up a bit of user rights to cover that. Is there any more questions on the manufacturing side of things?
Yeah, can you create from there to an invoice?
Cheers, Michael. Absolutely. I will do. It'll be, Tasman will probably send out the link. It'll be amongst the other videos. So I know I forgot to record yesterday, and the inventory module wasn't recorded because there was a lot of sound problems, etc. Cheers again, Michael. Yeah, so Paul, you're asking, so once you've got all this. So you got the final item.
Yeah, now you want to create an invoice.
You want to create an invoice.
As with your quotes.
Yeah.
When you do a quote to a customer, you can now create the invoice if he accepts.
Based on with our final item product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do the quote in the same way. So
can you drag it into the quote?
Yeah, so it'll be here. So I'll just select my customer, and our final product will show here. So one of these decanned ones. So you can pull it through here, and it'll pull through our markup cost if it's linked to the customer. So this is just pulling through our cost. There's no markup at the moment because we didn't link it to a customer. So you send the quote, they come back and they're happy, you go straight to an invoice, you can just hit convert, hit your quote, and press OK, and record. So that's invoiced. Now it's taking the stock out as well. Thanks, Andrew. Any more questions on the manufacturing? If not, I'll attend to Raymond's question regarding more on the inventory side. I'm just going to, if there's no more questions on manufacturing, I'm just going to stop the recording so people who've listened don't get go off track. I want to keep it to manufacturing.
We go back to the pick list.
The pick list, yeah. So and the attendees in the room with me, let's go back to the pick list on the manufacturing side of it, yeah? So let's go back into the job, and so it's grayed out because this one's closed already, it's already been sent. So we'll create a new job, bill of materials, select the same item, and let's do quantity of 5, generate, and we now record it. It's going to ask for a work center, I know what's coming, and yes, and this is our pick list. So this is one of the forms that we can customize if you want us to customize it.
And the components picks up from your inventory.
How do you mean? The components. Oh yeah, the components is set up already. Yeah, I set these up before the training.
Where you actually go in and pick.
Oh, where you actually go pick them. So the picking at this stage, so it's just a printout basically. So you'll send this to the warehouse, and then they'll physically type in the numbers, and then and then after that stage, you go to issue work in progress.
Sorry, just to get it from inventory into that list. Sorry. from the inventory, that's components work center.
The components works in.
Sorry, I didn't see. You just add them. Yeah.
Oh, the actual items. They're down here. These components.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is as per my bill of materials.
Yeah.
So this is pulling through what I set up in the master file.
Okay.
So here I put in these items. So if I add in any other items, they'll also pull through. So like if I create my bill of material, I'm selecting the master file, like almost like selecting a customer or vendor. And it's populating. When I press generate, it's bringing that inventory through. So you can always change this. I can delete one. I can add another component, etc., etc., and it'll make the changes to the pick list as well.
Okay.
No problem, Andrew. Thanks for the attendance. Appreciate it. Can you record this separately? I think in hindsight, I'll just leave the recording ongoing. I will just proceed on to your questions. So I think everyone's satisfied with the manufacturing now. So let's just quickly go over your questions there, Raymond. So, sorry, just have a sip of more water. Would you mind showing me how to set the pricing for different customers and the adjustments? So yesterday, I think we quickly showed you how to do the pricing, but I'll do it again. And then the adjustments. Okay. So let's go in. Let's close manufacturing. And let's dive into your question there. So you first go to a price list. And let's focus on one item. So I'm going to do this item. So we're going to work with chemical A. So there is an import function again for this. But I'm going to run with the example for chemical A. So we're going to press save. So that's the price now for this item. And it belongs to the regular price list. So now let's go link it to a customer. I only have one price list and they all have to be linked to one price list. So that every single customer on the system is going to be linked to that one. But just to show you where to do it, you go to settings, you go into the customer, settings, price list. Because I only have one at the moment, that's where it's defaulting to. So then every time I invoice this particular customer, chemical A is going to cost 100 Rand. That's going to be the price. So if we set up another price list called price list 2 or whatever, and we link the customer to that, and the price was 80 Rand, depending on which price list the customer is linked to, the price will change. So just looking at the second part of your question, authorizations. So this takes up a little bit more setup, but it's quite useful. I think maybe we should have a separate training session on user rights, even all these features here. So I'm going to go in the control panel. I've got no users at the moment. So I quickly just need to set up a first user, which I'll call myself. And the first user is always an administrator. So it's mandatory. So I'm setting up that one. And then you want to see someone who needs authorization when they change the price, if I'm not mistaken. So junior. And 111111, and we're going to give some specific user rights to this user. So let's let them do some invoicing. So we've got invoices here. Let's not allow them to adjust. No credit block approval, etc. And there's an icon here. So one of these user rights here you'll see is change the selling price. So I'm going to leave that ticked off. And then we're going to come out of here. And now if I log in as a junior, and if you go see the user rights there, all those other fields in accounts receivable, warehousing, manufacturing, he's going to get this message everywhere. So you can be very specific with the user rights. I mean, I could give this user no access to any processing documents and maybe just give them access to reports. So let's go do that invoice, and we can select any customer because I know they're all linked to the same price list. And which chemical was it? Did I say chemical? It was A. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was A because the price doesn't look the same. Let's see. 100. And then there we go anyway. So now this is how the authorization works. It doesn't matter which item it is. I can't change the price that comes through. So it's asking for authorization for one of the super users. So this user would have to go and notify that user. Maybe Adam B myself is based in the next room. I would have to go walk in there and ask Adam to come and check. And he would have to come here and type in his password and authorize the transaction. So I've authorized the price change. And now Junior can now go and record this document. Does that address your question, Raymond? Thanks for coming, Shabir. Have a good weekend. Not quite the weekend, but it's a public holiday here in South Africa tomorrow. Any more questions? Perfect. Okay, so I've recorded this session, thanks to Raymond. So I'll convert to an MP4 maybe before the end of the day, and then it'll be uploaded to that same link that I sent out earlier in the week. For those who haven't been here, I probably should have done this before everyone's left. Do you guys have the link? Do you have the link, Raymond and Vincent? I think you guys have been here a few days. Let's go find it anyway. And there's the link. So I'm going to stop recording.